The sad truth about motorcyclists is that most of them plateau after just 1 year of riding. It's a very specific moment in almost every rider's life that nobody really warns them about. It usually happens somewhere between 6 months and a year into their riding career. At this phase, you're no longer scared of the bike. You don't stall at stoplights anymore. You're not white-knuckling the handlebar as if you're gonna fly off the back should you lessen that grip. You're able to flow through corners and think to yourself, oh, I get it now. This is fun. And for a little while, this is a great feeling. But then something happens. You keep riding, you keep racking up miles, but if you're being honest with yourself, nothing really changes. Your progress has flatlined and is in desperate need of life support. You're riding the same pace, the same roads, and maybe even making the same mistakes. You're comfortable, but not improving. So today, we're breaking down all the sneaky reasons riders get stuck being terminally mid. Let's get into it. One of the biggest reasons riders plateau after a year is because they mistake being comfortable for being skilled. And to be fair, it does feel the same at first. You're not terrified of traffic. You can lean the bike without feeling like you're about to meet God. You can get safely from point A to point B with minimal drama. From the seat of a Chinese 250, that feels like real progress. And for a brief moment, it is. But the real problem was you actually just learn how to not be bad at riding. You still need to get good. You still need to earn some EXP and start maxing out that skill tree. You learn how to exist on a motorcycle without completely panicking. You learn how to ride within a little bubble where everything feels as safe and familiar as your goon cave. The same roads, the same speeds, the same handful of corners you've memorized down to the finest detail as if you're doing an any percent glitchless speed run. And because it feels smooth, you assume it must be good. The problem is that comfort doesn't scale. Being comfortable on your road at your pace doesn't mean you have transferable skills. The moment something changes, tighter twisties, gravel in a corner, heavier traffic, cold tires, suddenly your ability evaporates. That's because real skill isn't about how you ride when everything is perfect, it's about how well you adapt when it isn't. Think about all the leader bike squids who can rip through their favorite canyon road, but they waddle around the gas station parking lot, and then they show up to the track day, and they're not quite as comfortable as they were before. It's comfort masquerading as competence. You can play Through the Fire and Flames on Expert on Guitar Hero, but you can't even play Smoke on the Water on your Squier Starter Kit Stratocaster. When riders hit that 1 year mark, they often stop expanding their comfort zone and instead start fiercely protecting it. Comfort feels good. That's why so many riders get stuck there. As a bit of a personal anecdote, this actually happened to me. I used to ride up in DFW for the first year where the roads are flat, straight, narrow, and I thought I was riding pretty well. When I came down to Austin, I did a little trip in 2016. I rode the infamous Lime Creek Road, and I was way out of my element. I realized I actually didn't really know what I was doing. That led me to do my first track day and start improving my skills. If that sounds familiar to you, well, then keep watching the video. Another reason riders plateau is because their motorcycle is quietly carrying them through mistakes they don't even realize they're making. Modern bikes are incredibly good at this. ABS, traction control, rain mode, slipper clutches, insanely good tires, these things are all legitimately life-saving. But they also blur the feedback loop. Back in the day, if you were sloppy with the throttle, the bike would let you know by lifting the front wheel and sending it straight back into the back of a minivan ahead of you. If you grabbed the front brake with the tact of a jackhammer, you'd be severely punished. If you combine the two while leaning over mid-corner, you'd probably need to repent and ask Rossi for forgiveness at the gates of heaven. And yeah, before we had slipper clutches, if you let out too fast, rear wheel hop, dead. Instantly. Modern bikes, on the other hand, they're incredibly polite. They clean up after you. They smooth out those rough inputs. They keep things upright when you probably haven't earned it for yourself. From the seat of your Dainese riding pants, everything feels fine. Traction control smooths out power to the rear wheel if you accelerate a little too hard mid-corner, and if you brake too late, ABS keeps the intersection from becoming a crime scene. The bike's tech acts in self-preservation, and as long as you keep moving forward down the road, you assume that you must be doing something right. But the truth is, the bike may be doing that dirty work for you, editing out your mistakes just before you see the final version, just like our editor. Thanks, Josh. These modern fail-safes can lead to many riders plateauing in skill. They level up to a more powerful and technologically advanced machine, but don't know where their skill ends and the bike's tech begins. It's not that modern bikes are bad, but they can enable people to stop learning. If you're not being punished, what is the incentive to learn? Another massive reason riders plateau is because they confuse riding with practice, but they're not the same thing. Going out for a ride is fun. It's relaxing or exciting depending on the day. You stop off for coffee, hit your favorite road, take some photos, maybe rev bomb your engine under a bridge. Life's great. But none of that is really practice. That's just enjoying your motorcycle, which is great, but it's probably not going to make you much better. Practice is boring. It's unglamorous. Doing figure eights in a parking lot is not going to get the boys to like your Instagram reels. But it's practice, and that is good. Practice is deliberately braking as hard as possible over and over and over again so you know what maximum pressure your bike can handle. Many riders never do this. They just go, ride, and assume that skill will organically show up eventually. You want to build technique and muscle memory. Rehearse for those challenging moments so when something unexpected happens, you're prepared and you're going to be big chillin' whenever that situation arises. It's like you're riding as if you're playing free skate in Tony Hawk Pro Skater instead of trying to get 100% all goals. You gotta get that special meter up, my dude. What's green, has a flying V, and is guaranteed a date with your mom? Well, that's me on this Moto Guzzi V7 Sport. If you want to prevent that reality from happening, you gotta go to GameDude.co and become a member and earn your chances to win this bike. You gotta take this thing away from me. I am a menace on this machine. You think you look cool on your S1000RRs, your leader bikes, your blah, blah, blah. This is what's cool, baby. Your mom, she's into the retro stuff. She remembers the 80s. I'm coming over there right now. If you gotta stop me, head to the website and become a member. That's the only way to do it. Now let's get back to the show. So once riders get past their first year, they start quietly reorganizing their entire riding life around one goal: to never feel dumb on a motorcycle again. So you avoid the stuff that exposes your weak spots. In your day-to-day riding, you'll avoid situations where your less than perfect skills will be exposed. Maybe you'll pull up into a parking lot and instead of tightly squeezing a U-turn into a primo parking spot right near the front, you find yourself around the one in the back where you can pull straight through. You'll avoid track days or advanced rider training because then you'll be forced to confront the fact that you're not actually an advanced rider, despite what you've been telling yourself all of these years. Instead, you'll stick to riding in the places where you already look good. The roads you've memorized, the corners you can take with your eyes closed, the routes you take where you know exactly how fast you can go without getting into trouble. You stay inside the carefully curated fantasy world where nobody is there to remind you that you still have plenty of room to improve upon certain skills. This is probably the most common area I see riders fall into. These are your classic Instagram elbow down on their favorite road squids who never go to the track, never meaningfully improve, and live in their perfectly little curated bubble assuming they're the best riders in the world. Many riders would rather look like they've got it all under the control rather than actually get better. So they keep riding in situations that protect their ego rather than challenging their technique. That's why you see videos of people flying through their local highways, but when they finally go to a track, they barely qualify for the novice group. Getting better at riding isn't solely about feeling confident. It's about being willing to be sort of clumsy on the way to getting good. The moment you start dodging anything that makes you feel insecure, you're avoiding situations that will actually make you improve. All right, this next reason may be one of the most important ones because another huge reason riders plateau is because most of them are benchmarking their skill against other riders who have also plateaued. If your crew is entirely mid, chances are you're pretty mid yourself. If you only ever ride with the same handful of buddies, you start thinking their bad habits or techniques are normal. On one of these group rides, no one is ever like, hey bro, you're coming to that corner too hot. Maybe you need to carry a little bit more brake pressure as you initiate your lean, because everyone is just straight vibing, and you don't want to be the annoying unk who gives unsolicited advice. So instead, you just say, hey bro, that pow pow back there was sick, dude, and group rides turn into rolling echo chambers. The loudest bike becomes the leader, the fastest guy in a straight line sets the pace, everyone else just tries to keep up and maintain the status quo. No one's actually analyzing or thinking anything through, because, I mean, come on, letting bro analyze your skills and vice versa? I don't know, that sounds pretty gay to me. Instead of learning together, you just perpetuate the culture of survivability. Without real feedback or consideration, everyone just assumes they're doing great. If you can hang with a group, you must be good, right? That's why when Instagram riders spend time with instructors and track junkies, suddenly they realize how bad they actually are, because they finally got a real reference point. And this happened to me before I started racing in 2020, before I started doing track days in 2016. I thought I was fast, I thought I was cool, and then I got passed so many times. I got humbled so many times until I finally got pretty okay at riding motorcycles. Skill is relative. There's always somebody faster, and if everybody around you rides solely reliant on rider aids and bravery, you're gonna look halfway decent by comparison. Now, a lot of riders love to flex about how much they ride. They'll say it with the same pride as a marathon runner talks about their average mile pace. But the harsh truth about this is that a significant chunk of that mileage is usually straight line, low effort highway riding. Riding for thousands of miles in a single direction does not make you a good rider, the same way that mainlining the Joe Rogan Experience on that same trip is not going to make you the smartest man alive. Even if you commute on your bike, that doesn't directly correlate to meaningful mileage. Look, commuting's great. You have more options in traffic, you can put less strain on the roads. I think everyone should commute on their bike at least some of the time. But as someone who does it frequently, I can attest to the fact that a significant portion of that time is either mitigating traffic or just sitting at lights. You're not making complex decisions or riding anywhere near a spirited pace. Racking up a lot of highway miles is good for endurance, I suppose, but that's not really riding skill. That's why we have thousands of Harley riders who are officially sanctioned Iron Butt members, yet they clam up or layer down the minute the roads get even a little bit technical. If you've been riding for a long time and racking up thousands of miles every year, it just doesn't really directly correlate to improvements in skill. When a rider feels bored, stifled, or stuck, their first instinct usually is not to work on themselves. It's to work on the bike, to find solace at the bottom of a bottle of 10W40. They think, I'm not getting excited about riding these days, so I'm just gonna buy my positive feedback. New exhaust, new tunes, steel-braided lines, maybe a more up-spec tire, so when people see your bike, they can tell just how serious you are. We've talked about modifications plenty on this channel, and I know nothing I say will have any impact with how seriously people take modifying their bike. But just know that those little dopamine hits from punching in your credit card number on Revzilla or hearing that satisfying click of the torque wrench should not overshadow the desire to grow in your ability. It's way easier to install parts than it is to admit you just need to practice. I get it. Bolting on more horsepower is more fun than practicing slow speed maneuvers in a parking lot. But unfortunately, mods are a short-term solution to feelings of inadequacy. A band-aid with very rapidly diminishing returns, if you will. Now look, most riders don't plateau because they've reached their limit. I see this all the time. People say, I outgrew my beginner bike. I hit the limits of my Ninja 500. You didn't do that at all. They plateau because they unconsciously decided to stop being uncomfortable. They stop seeking new challenges or submitting themselves to valuable feedback. They ride in little echo chambers where they always feel competent. If all you want to do is bop around town or commute to work, that is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you ever felt like you should be better than you are now, maybe you now know why. You know, this theme reflects itself across life. Think of the guy that says he's been playing guitar for 25 years, and yet you look at him play and you're like, that's really not that great. Or perhaps your old demented 80-year-old boomer granddad who has the same opinions that he had from back in the 80s. Calcification of the brain is a real thing. You want to focus on that neuroplasticity, and you'll thank yourself when you get older. Thanks for watching all the way to the end. I appreciate it. I'll catch you on the next one. Fact: Mantis shrimp can punch with the force of a .22 caliber bullet, powerful enough to break aquarium glass. Goodbye.